NFL Week 8 is finished. It's time for your NFL Week 8 recap, review, reaction. Don't forget about the rants. It's time for your NFL Week 8 review on the BLV. What's going on, BLVers? Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how you're feeling. And let me know your biggest takeaway about NFL Week 8 in the comment section below. This is the show where I give you my raw reaction right off the top of the dome about the biggest topics in the NFL, the biggest games, and the moments that interested me. So, if your team played a game that's not watchable, I'm not going to talk about it unless it was the New York Jets and the New York Giants, because you have to talk about Zach Wilson's season. But there was more than just New York taking on New York or New Jersey. There was the Patriots losing again. Seriously, man, we lost again, bro? What? Come on, to the Dolphins? Again? I hate that Tua, man. Why can't we beat Tua? And then you got the Niners. At least, you know, the Patriots lose. Maybe the Niners come through. They cheer me up. No. They lose 3 in a row. And then, at least something good came out of that. Joe Burrow is back, baby. The Bengals are back. No longer the Bungles. The Bengals are back, baby. And not only is Burrow back, but just in time, the Broncos defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to talk about that one. Woo! Oh, the Chiefs lost to the Broncos? Oh, okay, we got to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot more, including, are the Seahawks a contender? Are the Jags a contender? Who will be the 7th seed in the NFC? Because I honestly have no friggin' idea. Gronk spike the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. This is the weekly NFL review show on the BLV, and I love to hear from you. So make sure to get in that comment section and let me know your biggest takeaway. Now, without further ado, let's begin as we always do with Monday Night Football. We had the Detroit Lions at home. Monday Night Football, which is something I have not said very often in my life, taking on none other than the Raiders. So we had Monday Night Football 26-14. The Detroit Lions take it. And honestly, this game was not as close as the score indicated. 26-14 was being kind. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't even have 100 yards passing with like 5 minutes left in the game. So that just goes to show you what type of domination took place. 29! I'm not kidding you. 29, and it felt like 92 first downs by the Detroit Lions. 12 first downs by the Las Vegas. Hold on. 6 for 14 on third down was Detroit. 1 for 9, and it felt that way. Las Vegas. 0 for 3 on fourth down. Las Vegas. An inept attempt at offensive football. Inept. The yardage. 486 yards to 157. They didn't even crack 200. Not even 170. Come on, man. Seriously? 39 minutes of possession to 20 minutes of possession. And if it were not for Max Crosby, this game would have been 62-14 instead of 26. And not, if it wasn't for a Marcus Peters pick six where Jared Goff was trying to throw the ball away, it would have been even worse. The Raiders looked like a bottom-class organization, franchise, and team in this game, and the Detroit Lions looked like the opposite. Despite some early red zone struggles by the Lions, they got it together. And few takeaways from the Lions. Jared Goff played well, as he typically has this year. He did his Jared Goff thing. Was rarely pressured very often, and due to that fact, he was super efficient, especially over the middle of the field off of play action. 26 completions, 37 attempts, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Honestly, his game was probably better than the stats indicated. But the real superstar of this game, despite Laporta, a rookie, having 8 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown, Amon-Ra, or Amon-Ra, depending on how you say it, because I've heard different people say it differently, had like 100 plus yards, as he usually typically does. The superstar of this game was my man, my guy.
All right.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Yes, sir. Jahmyr Gibbs, 26 carries, 152 yards, a 5.8 yards per carry, a touchdown, numerous catches in the game. And because I'm respectful to Jahmyr Gibbs, I need to look up the exact amount because I do not want to do this young man a disservice. At the young age of 21 years old, he had 5 catches in this game. He had 37 yards. That means he had nearly 200 total yards and a touchdown. I've been preaching this since the first game, Dan Campbell. Give the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs, and good things will happen. The man is special. He has breakaway speed. He's elusive. He can make you miss. He can make cuts in the hole, like he did on the touchdown run, slithering through blockers for a touchdown. There are rare running backs that can do that. Gibbs did it. I saw it at Alabama in person. In person, I saw it. And I knew Jahmyr Gibbs would be good. And this was one of the best running back first rounds I could remember because I love Bijan. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. And as much as everyone loved Bijan, I love Jahmyr Gibbs almost, if not just as much. And I agreed with the Lions that they picked him in the first round. I don't care. He's a running back. He catches the ball. He runs the ball. He does it all. Don't get David Montgomery back in there running it 25 times. You need to give this man the football. You're that much more explosive when you do. Jahmyr Gibbs, superstar potential. Superstar potential. He showed that tonight. Not only did he have 100 and how many? 52 rushing yards. But he also got, I don't even know what I'd call it. He did the Lambo leap into the end zone, into the crowd after he scored, and then this blonde lady proceeded to hug him and manhandle him in a way. It was almost like if Ultra were ever to get his hands on Mike McDaniel. It was like a kid on Christmas Eve receiving their gift from Santa Claus. That was this lady in the stands, grabbing Jahmyr Gibbs with her grimy little hands. Keep your hands off the merchandise. Lions look legit. Raiders look like an absolute train wreck. It's not surprising. I won some money on the Lions. Happy to see it. Happy to bet it. And their defense looked better this week. I thought their defensive line showed out big time. When they got the lead, they rushed the passer. And it wasn't even Aiden Hutchinson. Aquara got in there for a sack. McNeil was a superstar. I think he had multiple sacks in the game. Anzalone off of blitzes and pressures, had multiple sacks in the game at linebacker. They got an interception early in the game off of a fumble. They fumbled the ball early in the game. They're up 3-0. They fumble it. The Raiders get it. Jimmy Garoppolo proceeds to throw a Jimmy Garoppolo interception, which means directly into the hands of the other team on a... What is Jimmy Garoppolo doing? He is the most handsome piece of garbage I have ever seen in my life. The man, Davante Adams, was running a double move, and Jimmy didn't even look at the safety. He just threw it right to him instead. I thought he was throwing it to that guy. That's how bad it was. And then he proceeds after that to play like Brock Purdy in the fourth quarter. Absolute, utter garbage for the rest of the game. Missing Davante Adams 3 times on go routes wide open for touchdowns. Getting sacked nonstop. Just, Jimmy Garoppolo was bad. I don't know what to tell you. And honestly, if I'm a 49ers fan, I know I just made that Brock Purdy joke. I'm probably feeling a little bit better about Brock Purdy right now, because if Jimmy looks that bad outside of Kyle's system, Purdy might be decent. And I like Purdy. I think he's better than Jimmy. But, bro, Jimmy is bad. Bad! Like, with a capital B. So, yeah. I don't know how this team doesn't go to Aiden O'Connell soon. Like, they should find out what they have. This should be the game that tells the franchise, signals to the coaching staff. We should be looking to the future. Now, that will depend on whether Mark Davis is going to give McDaniels another season and this coaching staff and this regime another season. Doesn't feel that way, and I would not blame Davis for that. McDaniels just... I wouldn't even say, it was the coaching tonight. There's a general vibe with the team that is not good. When you have Davante Adams after the game throwing his helmet, now for all I know, that could be because Jimmy Garoppolo is ass, which I just stated. That could be a Jimmy Garoppolo thing. But there is no question, Josh McDaniels has not helped this team. Josh McDaniels has not done anything for the offense this year. Last year, at least you could say, well, Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing. The offensive line played well. Now the defense is actually playing well, led by the maniac Max Crosby, who is sensational. Nick Bosa, learn from a real man at defensive end and watch Max Crosby play some football, okay? But McDaniels has done nothing. He's got Davante Adams. He's got Jacoby Myers. He's got multiple talented tight ends. He's got a good left tackle. He's got a great running back. He picked the quarterback, even though it's not Tom Brady. Hey, McDaniels, at some point, bro, you got to prove that you can do some offense without Tom Brady. Now, I understand 1 year in 2008 with Matt Castle. You had a pretty good year when you had Randy friggin' Moss and Wes I'm Uncoverable Welker, and you had all those pieces there after 2007 where you broke every record known to humankind because Tom Brady was there. But other than that, I haven't seen a lot from your offensive discography here. I haven't seen much. You had the Cam Newton year. No weapons. Okay, I get it. The best thing you do right now is your run game, and it's bad. It was the best part of this game. You had one drive where you ran the ball all the way down the throat of the Lions and scored, which is impressive because the Lions have a good run defense. Other than that, you did nothing. Your pass game is broken right now. Your protection is broken. Your quarterback is absolutely, positively broken. And most of this blame to me goes on the quarterback. The quarterback is bad. But a lot of it has to go to Josh McDaniels because this is an offensive coach that's getting no production out of his offense this year. I give a ton of credit to what they're doing on defense because honestly, I think they have probably 3 starting caliber players on this defense. 3, 4, maybe 5 at the most. Half of their defense is starting caliber. That's it. And they're doing a great job on that side. Offensively, you're not getting it done. So unless this thing totally turns around by the end of the season, should definitely be let go because he is not. Right now, Josh McDaniels, over the years, he's been a great offensive mind. At least so we thought. He is not even in the top 20 right now in the NFL. And maybe it's because he has too much responsibility as a head coach. I don't know what it is. But it is not looking good. That's all I got to say about Monday Night Football. The Raiders are trash. It pains for me to say that. They are trash. The Lions are legit. We know this. Good bounce back win. That's what good teams do. Next. What is wrong with the San Francisco 49ers? Everyone keeps asking, Mitch, how do they lose 3 games in a row? Mitch, I thought they're generational. Mitch, I thought they're going to win the Super Bowl. I thought you would be shocked if they don't win the Super Bowl. First of all, is it February yet? Somebody give me a call when it's February. When the Niners are not in the Super Bowl, someone give me a call. Until that point, don't talk about my takes that aren't completed. That's like grading your homework that you're not even done with. Come on, bro. Cut me some slack here. But anyways, we've got the 49ers, a team with my favorite coach in football, a very inspirational story at the quarterback position, a bunch of dogs on offense. Brandon Ayuk, route running dog. Deebo Samuel didn't play, still a dog. Christian McCaffrey, I didn't even know he was a running back. Dog. Trent Williams didn't play. Okay? So keep that in mind. And for anyone to sit there and say Brock Purdy is the reason. Brock Purdy is the reason this team stinks. See, this is the difference between you and I, me and you. In the past, people would blame Shanahan. And I would say, no, it's not Shanahan. He doesn't have a quarterback. And now I tell you this. Brock Purdy is not the problem with the San Francisco 49ers. Has he turned the ball over? Maybe one too many times? Yes. Should he have thrown that ball to Jermaine Pratt? My boy Jermaine Pratt, by the way. No props for that take. Nobody ranks Jermaine Pratt higher in their linebacker rankings than me, and nobody gives BLV credit. Okay, whatever, bro. Just talk about all the bad takes. Anyways, so Brock Purdy, apparently that was actually a run play that failed. They didn't get the handoff off. That's at least what Shanahan said. And Purdy decided to throw the ball anyways, which just was flukily, if that's a word, intercepted. And then the second interception, great coverage by another elite linebacker, Logan Wilson, and a poorly timed play. Kind of similar to the Vikings one the week before. Now, that being said, Brock Purdy's not the problem. If you watch this game closely, Purdy made a ton of plays in this game. And I really felt like without Purdy, or without his play, this team wouldn't have been close in the game. And all of that comes down to the defense. Right? That being said, San Francisco, you want to know which offense had the highest yards per play in the NFL in week 8? It wasn't the Bengals. It wasn't the Dolphins. It was the San Francisco 49ers. They only scored 17 points. They lost the football game. But if you watch the game, they moved the football. If it weren't for a couple of turnovers, that game probably would have been close at a certain point. But the Bengals really did gain control of the game early and never let control of the game back to San Francisco. And that's because San Francisco's defense could never really make a legitimate stop in this game. Joe Burrow and the Bengals were torching their asses. San Francisco's defense over the last couple of games has looked completely human, susceptible, and honestly downright bad, which is one of the things I never would have projected or expected. I thought, okay, one bad game against the run versus the Browns, that's fine, whatever, it happens. Then the second game, well, the Patriots, they were a good defense last year. They got lit up against the Vikings in Minnesota when Kirk Cousins was dealing. Okay, it's Minnesota in Minnesota. Kirk Cousins was hot, best game of his career. And now at home versus a mostly struggling Bengals offense, the Niners get whooped. The Niners pass rush, not the same. The Niners coverage, not the same. The Niners defense shredded on the ground, through the air. What's the problem? Well, to me, when I watch the 49ers, the one thing to me that I see is that the 49ers defense has nowhere close to the same originality, creativity, thought, or process as their offense. For a guy like Shanahan to feature a defensive coordinator like Steve Wilks, who brings very little originality to his game, very little flavor to his defense, it's very off-putting to me. Because the last 3 weeks I've watched the Niners defense play, and the last 3 weeks I sit there saying, well, these players aren't playing that well. And some people don't really know if it's the players or the scheme. And to me, it's the scheme. Like, these players are not being put in a good spot to be successful. To me, it appears like the pass rushers aren't being, helped in the pregame process, scouting the offensive line, finding ways to attack the weaknesses of the offensive line the way that they used to under DeMeco Ryans or Robert Saleh. And from my understanding, the San Francisco defensive line coach is one of the best in the NFL. I don't know what's going on with the stunts they're running, the blitzes they're trying, but what I need to see more of is a real thought into intentional setting up Nick Bosa to be successful. Doing whatever it takes for Nick Bosa to be successful. Doing whatever it takes for Javon Hargrave to be successful. Doing whatever it takes for Eric Armstead. Putting them in the best positions to succeed, which is what the best coaches do. I don't see great stunts up front. I don't see simulated pressures. I don't see a team stopping the run. And I think for the Niners, when you really think about it, it all begins with stopping the run. Because over the last few years, they've been really good at stopping the run. What does being really good at stopping the run do? It allows you to, on early downs especially, force teams to be in second and long and third and long. And in those situations, there's more opportunity to rush the quarterback. More time to get to the quarterback. And it feels like the last couple of weeks, the run defense hasn't been as good, at least against the Bengals and the Browns, and it's led to a less opportunity game for the pass rush. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, the coverage. Because a guy like Richard Sherman would say, the Niners were pretty much a four-man pass rushing team. They wouldn't really do a lot of simulated pressure. They wouldn't really come out and play like Baltimore or Tennessee or New England, where there's guys moving all over the place and you don't know who's coming and you don't know who's backing out. And if you're going to play a simplistic style of defense up front to allow your athletes to just pin their ears back and get going. You have to be very sound in your run fits. You have to be very sound in your tackling. And you also have to be very efficient in your coverage responsibilities. I think they need to be more aggressive in their coverage. I think they need to use more bump in their coverage. I think they need to off-put the timing of some of these receivers and these routes, because it feels like, especially against the Bengals, there was just not enough time to get to Burrow. There were some instances where guys that should be winning were not winning. Nicholas Boza. But there was also a lot, to me, of just quick release. Get the ball out. And Burrow's really good at that. He's really good at reading a defense and knowing where to go with the ball. But to me, you need to disrupt timing so that your pass rush can get there. And that's something that I felt was very underrated with DeMeco Ryans' defense. The coordination with the coverage to the rush. Why did the Eagles beat the Dolphins? If Tua is such a quick distributor of the ball, and we thought he wouldn't allow the Eagles to get to him, but they still disrupted him, why? Because the coverage takes away the first read. The coverage studies the tendencies of the opponent, understanding the concepts they like to run, out of which personnel they like to run it, out of which formation they like to run it. And when you know that, you can anticipate faster. You can play faster. The Niners are all about team speed on defense. They're about seeing the ball, flying to the ball, and anticipating where the ball is going to go. And without that preparation, that is where, to me, it all begins, you will not be successful. So to me, if I'm pinpointing a problem with the Niners, it's not the pass rush, it's not the run defense or the secondary in particular, it's Steve Wilks. It's the scheme. Something is off. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but to me it feels like a combination of your run defense isn't sound, your coverage isn't corresponding with what's appropriate for the rush to get home against the players and the schemes you're playing against. So something's off there with the defensive staff, with the defensive play calling. So for the Niners, if something doesn't change soon defensively, they have to think about replacing Steve Wilks. Can he turn it around? Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of talent there. Should they consider bringing in a corner or another pass rusher? Yeah, they probably should. This is a team that should be in the Super Bowl window, and I believe they still are. I believe they have an elite offense. And as long as you have an elite offense, you will be around. But remember, it's about the defense come playoff time. We've seen defenses get hot in the playoffs. The Giants, multiple times. Right? Peyton Manning's 2006 defense got super hot in the playoffs, won them a Super Bowl. The Chiefs' defenses over the years has gotten hot at the right time. The Niners may not be that number one defense we projected all year, but as long as they can get hot at the right time, that's what will enable them to go on a run. So that's kind of my thought on the Niners. I don't think their offense is much of an issue. I think some of it is personnel driven. I think some of it is turnover driven. I think some of it is just being unlucky. Defensively, there are issues. There are fundamental issues. And I think it all begins with Wilks and the scheme and the preparation. So that's what I have on the Niners. Let's take a sip of the tea. Oh boy. The Denver Broncos defeated the Kansas City Chiefs.
Bruh.
Oh my goodness. So, I said in my power rankings last week, how good are the Chiefs really? I ranked them number one out of respect for them being the Super Bowl champs and their record being tied for the best in the NFL. But then I really asked the question, and those of you that watch my power rankings know this. How good are the Chiefs really? If we're asking how good are the Dolphins, when they haven't beat the Eagles, they haven't beat the Bills, and they, point blank period, have not beat a good team. How good are the Chiefs? Because they're 1-1 against good teams. They lost to the Lions. They beat the Jags. Both games were incredibly close. And actually, both games were more defensive than offensive. And lastly, they hadn't played a good team since the first 2 weeks. So they've been on a run playing, some pretty bad teams, right? Beating up on some bad teams, surviving at times versus some bad teams. Then all of a sudden, their poor play shows up, especially offensively, versus Denver in Denver. And why this is concerning is the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the ingredients. The proof is in the stats. Right? The ingredients being the depth chart of this wide receiver crew. The pudding being the results of these scores. The Kansas City Chiefs have had 5 games this year. 5. Count them. The Lions game. The Jacksonville game. The Jets game. The Broncos twice. The Broncos twice. A team that allowed 70 points to the Miami Dolphins. Twice. In all 5 of those games, their offense scored less than 24 points. In none of them, they scored 24. All of them was less than 24. The closest was the Jets at 23, and that was probably the best defense they've played all year. And remember that game, a lot of the reason it was close was because of offensive turnovers and because they couldn't score in the second half. The games that they scored a lot of points, they played the Vikings in Minnesota, perfect environment in a dome versus a pretty weak overall defense with just a really good coordinator, 27 points, which was kind of average for them last year. 31 points versus Brandon Staley, where they had 5 drives in a row where they didn't score against Brandon Staley. And then 41 versus Matt Eberflus and the Bears. So the only games that they have scored more than 24 is it the Vikings and the 2 worst coaches in the NFL, arguably, Brandon Staley and Matt Eberflus. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. And then you look at the ingredients. Kadarius Toney, mostly bum right now. Guy doesn't do anything for them. When he catches the ball, he's just not the same with the ball in his hands after the catch as he used to be post this injury that he had. Really major, knee stuff going on with him. Valdez-Scantling is invisible. The other receivers, Sky Moore can't catch a cold. The Justin Ross got in trouble. Justin Watson is a special teamer. And you got Rashee Rice, who I like. Rashee Rice, you got Travis Kelce / Taylor Swift. A really good offensive line. But even with that really good offensive line that provides Mahomes a ton of time, you're not able to run the ball consistently week after week, which is also really hurts you. And your vertical passing game is pretty much non-existent because there's no vertical threat really in the offense other than the occasional Justin Watson prayer or Valdez-Scantling go ball. So there's not a lot to really respect down the field. There's not really a run game to respect all that much. And a lot of this offense is Mahomes to Kelce, Mahomes to Kelce, Mahomes to Kelce every time they need a play. The occasional schemed up screen or jet sweep or whatever Andy Reid's cooked up that week. It's just not a lot working here, right? And you go back to the Chiefs' offense is not as good as last year. It's not even close. 5 games, less than 24 points. They had 3 all last season. Only 3 in the regular season last year. Already 5. So your defense has to play lights out, has to play great, has to play elite. And in this game, they just couldn't overcome all the mistakes. Their defense has to be so good, especially when you play like this. MVS fumbling, Mahomes throwing a pick, McMillan showing out for the Broncos, strip sack, Hardman muffing the ball, Sky Moore dropping a touchdown on 4th and 2. So many mistakes. There were things to take away positively. I continue to like Rashee Rice. The O-line played really well for the most part, other than Zach Allen eating their lunch a couple times. Shout out to Zach Allen. Javonte Williams was an absolute monster for the Broncos. Had a huge game. Love his combination with McLaughlin. Drew Tranquil for the Chiefs played really, really well in the game, I thought. And the defensive line of the Chiefs, I felt, played really well, especially Omenihu and Karlaftis. There's a number of issues with the Chiefs. Mahomes was sick in that game. Mahomes early in the game was holding on to the ball too long, trying to make something special happen. It wasn't there. Travis Kelce looked half a stride slow all day long. Just didn't look himself either. It's probably not going to be a game that you look back at and say, hey, the Chiefs were frauds all along. It's probably just a game that they lost, that they had too many turnovers and all that stuff. But at the same time, when you have to watch these games, you're not thinking about what the Chiefs will be able to do the next time they play the Raiders or the Chargers, right? You're thinking about what the Chiefs are going to be able to do against teams in the AFC playoffs or the Super Bowl, because that's their standard. That is their expectation. When you watch them play, I don't think they're beating that many contenders scoring less than 24 points on the regular, especially when a lot of these contenders have the better defenses than Denver. So it's just weird. And I think it's definitely something to note that the Chiefs offense not being the same certainly is a big red flag, because that is their engine. That is it. And I really don't think it's getting better unless they bring in new personnel. I think versus good defenses that know how to game plan and have pretty good players, they're going to struggle to score over 24 points. That is my truth with the Chiefs. I did forget one thing about the San Francisco 49ers that I must discuss. There is a guy on this team that apparently is leading the NFL in pressures. But to be quite honest with you, I don't know who this man is. I have never met this man. I have not seen him for the last couple of weeks. I've heard his name from fans, but I watch the games, I listen to the commentary, I don't hear his name. I hear potentially it could be due to the color of the skin of the quarterbacks he's facing. I hear potentially it could have to do with that he's now a model and he's taking his football career less seriously after the big contract he was paid. I've heard that maybe it's the Kim K. Kardashian curse. If you don't know, this man is now modeling for that company. There is somebody, some guy, I don't know who it is, myth, legend, don't know, I never heard. Nick Bosa is apparently this guy's name. If anyone has seen Nick Bosa, heard from Nick Bosa, please report it to the authorities. We are concerned for his health. We are concerned that he has lost his ways. We are concerned that he is trapped by Kim K. We are concerned that his powers were zapped by the great Kardashian. And we are concerned that Nick Bosa does not know how to sack a white quarterback. So, please, I beg of you, if you find this man, please tell him that Mitch Milani of the Bottom Line View is searching for him. He wants to know where he's at. He's not sure if this is some sort of trick. He's not sure if this is some sort of Halloween treat. He's not sure if this is a costume like Casper the Ghost. Because the man has been invisible. I haven't seen him. I don't know where he went. I'm just very concerned. Because I watch every week. I watch TJ Watt, absolute dog. Does not get stopped. I watch Myles Garrett, freak of nature. I watch Max Crosby on Monday night. Team is absolute trash. I have never seen a more flaming hot garbage piece of flaming ass shit in my life than Max Crosby's team. And he still shows up. And now we've got this guy, Casper the Ghost. Highest paid defensive end in the NFL. Where you been, buddy? That's all I gotta say about that. Moving on. We already talked about the Broncos. Congratulations to the Broncos. Congratulations to my Broncos fans. Shove it. Next. The Bengals are back, baby. Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, Joe Shizzle, whatever you call him. The Bengals are back, and Joe Burrow is back. How did I know Joe Burrow was back? When he was running headfirst at Fred Warner saying, "Hey, buddy, F you. I'm coming for your soul." And he's running straight in the middle of the field, diving for first downs. He's throwing little arc passes, probably did the spinorama on that pass to Jamar Chase for a touchdown. He's Eli Manning it, going through the rush, spinorama, get around it, throw it sidearm to T. Higgins. Probably wiped his nose as I did. Throws it sidearm to T. Higgins, first down, baby. Unbelievable performance by Joe Burrow. Unbelievable response by the Cincinnati Bengals. This, not the Bills Mafia jumping through tables, not the Miami Lolfins who haven't won a damn playoff game since, I don't know, I was like 5. Not any of those teams. I picked this dude. I picked this team, the Bengals, to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. This is the team I want. This is the team I expected. This is the team I think will go to the Super Bowl in the AFC. I do. I still do. I never gave up hope. Everyone kept asking me on Power Ranking, "Mitch, why do you have the Bengals in the top 10? Mitch, why are the Bengals at number 8? Mitch, why are the Bengals at number 6? Mitch, why are the Bengals in the power rankings that high? Doesn't make sense. They're not good." And I'm trying to tell you, the Bengals have their process. They take time. They take their time. They get there eventually. What did we see? We saw some cool stuff from the Bengals. We saw a run game. Joe Mixon looked like prime Joe Mixon in this game. Running, breaking tackles, catching the football, running under center, making plays. They were getting an under center run game going, under center play action game going, shotgun RPO run game going. Jamar Chase, he's left, he's right, he's in the backfield, he's at tight end, he's in the slot, he's everywhere, he's uncoverable, he's the man, he's the myth, he's Jamar Chase. Then we got T. Higgins. Oh, nice to see you, T. Higgins. Wherever you came from, can you please tell me where Nick Bosa is? Is he in the same location you were? T. Higgins showed up this week. Tyler Boyd on my bench went off. Irv Smith, the worst football player I've ever watched in my human existence, needs to go. Trade for Hunter Henry. We'll give him to you so you can win the Super Bowl. And then we've got a defense by Big Lou. Opportunistic. One of the top 3 linebacker duos in the NFL. Great corner play. Mike Hilton is a dog. Everyone should know who Mike Hilton is. Dog. Trey Hendrickson, another guy that you can learn from, Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa, you think you're good? Watch Trey Hendrickson, okay? I just love what I saw from the Bengals. I am 100% back in. Not that I ever left, but I am 100% back in. This is that team. Run the ball, weapons at receiver, accurate, precise, great pocket quarterback who's clutch. Offensive line was solid. Defense was good. Defense is well schooled. Defense has a game plan every week. Love it. Bengals are legit, bro. Bengals are back, bitches. All right, next. I didn't even mean to say bitches there, but I think that was kind of funny. Cowboys versus the Rams. Let's talk about that. This is just the game that I thought it would be. You know, a lot of people are kind of surprised by this result because a lot of people were on the Rams plus 6.5, but I told you, it's fugazi. It is not real. It's pixie dust. It's the Cowboys at home. They get a touchdown. Then they get a sack. Then what happens? They get a pick six. Then what happens? They get a safety. Then what happens? They get another touchdown. Then what happens? They just keep it going. Touchdowns from the defense. Touchdowns from the special team. Touchdown from the offense. This is the Cowboys at home. You get down against America's team.
How about them Cowboys?
And you get slaughtered. I don't think there's a team in the NFL that could get down 10-0 to the Cowboys and survive. The Cowboys are good. I don't think the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl. Do they have a chance? Yes. And it's because if they play this way, they're freaking tough. Their pass rush is the best in the league. It's fierce. This is a guy that knows how to set up a defensive line for success. Daniel Quinn. Micah Parsons, dog. Steph Gilmore, Hall of Fame. Deron Bland, the new Marcus Peters. Great safeties. Defense is great. We know this. But when they play from in front, you're not beating this team. Dak and CD are too good. The O-line is too good. Mike McCarthy can call his run plays. The defense pass rush is too good. The secondary's good. You're not beating this team like that, dude. And what did they learn at the bye week? Throw it less to Gallup. Throw it more to Brandon Cooks. Touchdown, baby. Ferguson's coming into his own as the number one tight end. Absolute dot by Dak Prescott for the opening touchdown. CeeDee Lamb featured everywhere like Jamar Chase. CeeDee Lamb is legit elite. Like, if you don't have CeeDee Lamb in your top 6 or 7 receivers in the NFL, you're on crack cocaine. I would like to get your whatever you are on, bro. Then we're talking about Turpin with a big return. They're really good on special teams. Dak Prescott's actually moving and making plays on the run. Unbelievable. Really good Dak game. This game, guys, was 26-3 with 11:36 left in the first half. Well, the first quarter ended and the game was not even competitive. And then they injure Matt Stafford. If there's one concern about this team to me, it's their run game. Can they get it a little bit better? Other than that, man, this team, it feels like they don't match up well with the Niners. But other than that, I'm pumped to see them play the Eagles. Because if the game script goes the way it did for the Commanders, this team's going to Philadelphia and winning. And I don't say that lightly. The Eagles better be aware of how that game starts. Because the Cowboys are that momentum team. They just get a play, and then it adds to the next play, and adds to the next play, and adds to the next play. The game's over. As for the Rams, they're who we thought they were. Oh, Mitch. Sean McVay, why isn't he an elite category coach? Oh, Mitch. Why were you so harsh on the Rams? Bro, this is what I thought they would be. They would start the early season well. McVay do his thing. Stafford stay healthy. Kupp would come back. Blah, 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 blah. Aaron Donald, all joyful. And then reality would set in. And teams would figure them out. And that's exactly what happened. Now Stafford's hurt. I'm sad that I am correct on this one. The Rams are who we thought they were. And I didn't let them off the hook. The next one, we got to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks, are they NFC contenders? Really pumped for them getting Leonard Williams. If you want to check out my individual video and reaction to that trade, you can check that out. I'm not going to talk about that. As for their game against the Browns, impressed. I took the Browns plus 4.5. I ended up covering, but I was impressed by how they started the game offensively. I thought they were doing a lot better throwing the ball down the field, even running the football to a certain degree in moments. Now, the thing with the Seahawks running game and the thing with the Cleveland run defense is it feels like it's rather a loss or a big gain. Loss or a big gain. That's kind of how Seattle runs the ball. Wide receiver-wise, Tyler Lockett was fantastic. DK Metcalf made plays. Jackson Smith and Jigba, game winner. Noah Fant made a couple plays. Geno, the thing with the Seahawks that could make them a contender. I've been talking about the defense the last couple of weeks, and I don't want to lose sight of that. I think their secondary has the potential to be one of the best in football by the end of the year, with Devin Witherspoon, with Tariq Woolen, with the 3 safeties they have. Julian Love, game-sealing interception. Jamal Adams. Quandre Diggs, who's been Pro Bowl level the last few years. They've got good depth on the outside with guys like Michael Jackson and company. The secondary is really good. Like the linebackers inside with Wagner and Brooks. And then the defensive line now, adding Leonard Williams, that could really complete this defense. Mafe and Taylor on the outside. I wouldn't be shocked if they added another edge rusher. Now, they did add Frank Clark, which maybe he'll provide a spark off the bench. But the thing that really gets me excited is if Geno can play at that really high Geno level at the right time during this season, they can beat anybody in the NFC or the NFL for that matter. If their defense plays the way they've played and Geno makes those ridiculous throws that he makes every once in a while at a consistent rate and plays in the clutch the way he's been playing comeback after comeback, you've got a team that can sneak up and beat anybody and upset a lot of teams, especially with the attitude, the bravado, the energy they bring on offense and defense. They need to figure out the psyche of DK Metcalf. If they can do that, this team could be a true contender, not just like a pixie dust, phony, fugazi contender. The Jacksonville Jags. I'm going to be completely honest. I try to watch as little Pittsburgh Steelers as humanly possible for the sake of my health. I want to live for a long time, and when I watch the Pittsburgh Steelers play, I lose at least a couple of weeks every time off of my life. So I must avoid it with as much as I can. Now, Thursday, they play the Titans, which is a best-to-10 game. I can't wait for the Mike Tomlin versus Mike Vrabel Bowl. Will Levis versus Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. I don't even know. That being said, Jacksonville. Jacksonville, to me, is not a true contender until they do what the Seahawks did. The Seahawks went out, they addressed Leonard Williams. They brought him in. If Jacksonville goes out there and gets Chase Young or Danielle Hunter or Brian Burns or one of these guys, Josh Uche, a real pass rusher on the other side of Josh Allen, put me in the book for the Jags are a threat. That is what they need, because the rest of their defense is there. Josh Allen this year, not the quarterback, has been absolutely elite on the edge. Their run defense is very good. Their linebackers are super athletic. Aluakon's one of the best in football. Safeties are underrated. Cisco always makes plays. Tyson Campbell is a legit top 3 to 5 corner in football, in my opinion. Darius Williams is awesome. So I'm not too worried about the defense, but the edge rush on the other side would make this defense good to great, good to potentially elite. We know what the offense can do. ETN is top 10. They've got multiple receivers that can make plays. Evan Ingram had a big game. Trevor Lawrence hasn't even had to go above and beyond this year, in my opinion. A lot of it has been pretty scheme-oriented. Once the offensive line gets settled, Peterson will start to unleash Lawrence's arm for more vertical shots. I think that will open up the offense even more. But for me, Jacksonville needs one more player, and they can be a legit contender in my book. The next game. Who will be the 7th seed in the NFC? So I want to quickly touch on this before I get to Will Levis, who I'm excited to talk about, of the Tennessee Titans. So the way I see it, this week I eliminated the Rams from the playoffs. I don't see them making it. I just feel like they're too young, too inconsistent. If Stafford's hurt, it's going to just throw a wrench into everything. Now there's Aaron Donald could be traded talk. I don't want to mess with it. I think it's going to be the NFC South, because I thought it was going to be Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. He's out for the year. So, like, who does that leave us with? Washington's not doing it. Giants aren't doing it. Arizona's not doing it. I just said the Rams are not doing it. Packers stink. Bears stink even more. PU. Carolina, frick. Ugh. Congratulations, you won a game. The Saints, the Falcons, the Bucks. One of those teams will win the division. Kind of right now feels like the Saints. Just saying. I wouldn't rule out the Falcons. But I feel like one of these teams is also going to make the wild card. We'll see. I'm honestly cheering for the Bucks. I like the Bucks. I like their players. I'm cheering for the Bucks. And honestly, the Falcons, they're so like weird. Like, I can't, the way they play, I just don't get it. Anyways, Saints and Bucks would be good. Moving on to the next one. Tyreek Hill versus A.J. Brown. This is interesting. So, I wake up this morning and I just see a bunch of people talking about, well, who's better, Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown? What? What?
Bruh.
Huh? Are you telling me that there's someone even comparable to Tyreek Hill?
Bruh.
Get the out of here.
Nope.
Tyreek Hill is the best. Maybe the best I've ever seen. I said it like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. The man cannot be stopped. A.J. Brown's great. He's doing great things. Tyreek Hill is the MVP of the NFL right now. If you want to know who the MVP is, it's Tyreek Hill. The guy's going to shatter the record of Jerry Rice. He's going to be the first MVP ever if the Dolphins win the AFC East at the wide receiver position. He's that good. He is that good. He can't be stopped. I don't care. Don't bring this up. This is ridiculous. This is like saying that anyone compares to Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man.
Pizza time.
Moving to the next one. That is not what I wanted. That's an old graphic. Apologize for that. BLV. What are you doing, Mitch? Pick it up. All right, the Vikings. Just a quick reminder, the Lions are letting us know. But the Vikings conundrum. So why did I put the Vikings conundrum? Because a lot of people are like saying to me, and even on BR, which I'm always on BR now, Bleacher Report app, every single Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, if you want to check me out with the latest reaction about the NFL. They give me a topic, I talk about it. It's quite fun, and there's a lot of people in the chat for that. So go check that out, guys. Download the BR app, and you'll be able to watch me every single Monday. But the Vikings conundrum. A lot of people were asking me, like, who are they going to trade for? Who are they going to get at quarterback? And I just straight up told them, I'm like, if I'm the Vikings, if I lost Kirk Cousins, which you did, just lose. Like, some of the best things that happen to teams is when they get a pick that they shouldn't be getting. When they pick too high in the draft for their own good. Like, look at the Eagles. Do you think the Eagles would be the same team if they didn't get Jalen Carter? Do you think the Niners would be the same team if they were fully healthy after the 2020 season? That 2020 season, they had 2 first-round picks in 2021, I believe, or 2020, I don't remember. And then they were able to capitalize. Or that year that they were able to get Nick Bosa at number 2 and they probably shouldn't have. Like, sometimes teams that are more talented than their record, but they still get a high pick. And usually it's a team that doesn't need a quarterback. But let's say it's the Vikings. They could go one of 2 routes. You could rather go for a new quarterback and try the fresh approach, or you could re-sign Kirk Cousins and use that on your defense and get a superstar on defense for Brian Flores to work with. Either way, it's a win-win. So what? This season's a lost cause. It's not like you're going to do anything with a guy like, I don't know, Jacoby Brissett, Ryan Tannehill even. You're not going to do anything with those guys. They're not on Cousins' level. Unless you're deciding that you're moving off of Cousins right now and you're trading for someone like Mac Jones, where I guess he still has a rookie contract, going to the 5th-year option, cheap young guy, I would get that. But other than that, it wouldn't make sense to trade for a quarterback right now. It only makes sense for the Vikings to bottom out after trying to go to the playoffs. Your guy gets hurt. You're not going to the playoffs now without him. So, just want to make that point. Vikings fans, just let it go. Let it go. Will Levis and his debut versus the Falcons. So I don't really want to talk about the Falcons, to be honest with you. But shout out to my boy Heineken, who might actually get the start now at quarterback. He was much better than Desmond Ritter's ass, who took 5 sacks in the game. He stinks. Prayers for Grady Jarrett, out for the season. Hopefully he gets better. Veteran of the game, great player. The Titans are now 3-4. And all I want to say about Will Levis, man, I could go through the play-by-play and the description of it. This guy's traits of what we thought he would be in the NFL big time showed up in this game. I have to admit, I wasn't the biggest Will Levis guy. I felt like there were a lot of issues with his mechanics. I didn't really see that so much. What I saw was a young quarterback who is fearless, who has a fucking cannon. I'm talking a fucking howitzer. Like, this guy is in the top 5 arms in the NFL. He made like 3 throws in this game that were unbelievable. Like Brett Favre, I'm talking here. Couple deep balls, the last final game-winning touchdown. There was a couple throws that the receivers were at fault. One of them was dropped, would have been a huge gain. Another one was Burks had 1 foot out of bounds and he caught it down the left sideline. That would have been a huge play as well. Will Levis, man, fits the Titans to a T. Athletic enough to move, kind of like Ryan Tannehill used to be. I'd like to see him run a little bit more. Tough as nails, fits the Titans' Mike Vrabel vibe. Has a fucking cannon, guys. Go watch the highlights from this game. The ball is on fire. DeAndre Hopkins was unleashed in this game. They run the ball, play action. Levis is athletic enough to get outside the pocket. He's big enough, tough enough to sit there and throw it down the field. And he doesn't give a flying fuck. He is going to sit there and just rip the ball. Now, maybe it was a fluke. We'll see how it goes. But my goodness, man. I am on the Will Levis eat a banana with the peel. Put mayo in the coffee, bro. I think that girlfriend from TikTok was holding you back. This man, he can rip the damn ball. And I want more quarterbacks like that. So give me more Will Levis. I don't even know what to put here once again. The New England Patriots stink. But before we get to that, I have to get to a couple other things. I have to get to Zach Wilson, baby. Let's go! All right. The New York Jets, the New York Giants. Let's just go a little bit through this game. Let's get some tea. I'm getting a little bit cold. First points of the game. Set up by a strip sack. The Giants get a field goal. Get the ball at about the 25-yard line of the Jets. 3-0. We have a long catch by Breece Hall. I don't even know, Breece Hall just makes this play every week. The Jets are basically, it's so funny. The Jets and the Steelers, they have these clear, identifiable, just continuously ridiculous formulas that continuously and ridiculously keep coming true. Their defenses get a ton of turnovers. They're opportunistic. They play with a lot of heart, their toughness. One player on their offense or two players on their offense do everything at a ridiculous level. Breece Hall has a huge play every week. George Pickens has a huge play every week. Garrett Wilson will make a couple plays here and there. The Jets formula is throw to Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall will get one insane play that you've never seen. Dexter Lawrence had a record 18 pressures for an interior defensive lineman in this game, surpassing J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald. Congratulations, but I would just want to tell you that Aaron Rodgers would not have survived the entire season behind this offensive line. The man would have been lit the F up with regularity. This offensive line cannot block a soul. Okay? Tyrod Taylor got hurt in the second quarter. And what happened? Well, what proceeded was quite frankly the worst performance of offense I have ever seen in my life. -9 yards passing by the Italian stallion of the New York Giants, DeVito. There was 11 punts by one team and 13 punts by the other. I didn't even know that they could do that. I didn't even know that that was achievable in an NFL game, and I'm a Patriots fan. If there's anything Bill Belichick likes to do more than lose right now, it's punt. Okay? But all of this leads to the legend, Zach Wilson. 18 seconds to save New York. No superhero from New York not Spider-Man, not Daredevil, not Luke Cage, not Punisher, not Doctor Strange, not Iron Man, not even Jessica Jones or the Fantastic Four. Anybody notice how many damn superheroes there are from New York? None of those people. It doesn't matter. None of them have saved New York in 18 seconds like Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson running, throwing, making plays. 2 drives in a row. Fourth quarter, 18 seconds. Get that field goal. Tie the game up. Overtime. Win the game. That's why it's Zach Wilson season, baby. Spider-Man, move over. New York belongs to Zach Wilson. Now, let's finish off as we always do with the New England Patriots. And honestly, I don't have a big sweeping take here about the New England Patriots this week. I feel like I've said everything I've needed to say the last couple of weeks in a negative and positive fashion. But I'm just going to get out what I honestly feel here and just use this as a relieving exercise. Okay, so we lose to the Dolphins. 31-17, I think, was the final score. Personally, the Patriots hung in the game. I felt like 24-17, 27-17 was maybe more representative of the game. I felt like New England, maybe not that, maybe like 31-20 was more representative of the game. New England should have scored a couple more points in this game, I'm not going to lie. But that being said, this was one of those games I left and I just said, we got outplayed. Like, our players are worse than their players. Their players are better than our players. Point blank, period. I'm not going to blame Belichick. I'm not going to blame Kraft or Bill O'Brien or Mac Jones. Their players are better than our players. And then on top of that, they were better executing. They outcoached us. And they outplayed us. That's first and foremost. Secondly, this was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the pass interference on J.C. Jackson was one of the worst calls ever, which turned a field goal on 4th down into a touchdown. That was a killer. Mac Jones' interception to Jalen Ramsey was probably the turning point in the game. If the Patriots score there, the game's maybe tied. And then we're talking about a second half that could go either way. That was, to me, more of a fantastic play. I said on the broadcast, more of a fantastic play by Jalen Ramsey than anything Mac Jones did wrong, in my opinion. The offensive line, once again, iffy performance. But I felt like overall, the offense showed up more like it did against Buffalo than the previous weeks. Demario Douglas, Kendrick Bourne, rest in peace. Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki, Pharaoh Brown, Zeke. Stevenson, I thought, actually had one of his best games of the year. Overall, the offense played about as well as I felt like it would. I just expected more out of the defense here. Second game playing Miami. Felt like they gave up too many 4th downs, too many 3rd downs, too many chain movers, too many big plays to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. You're not going to beat the Miami Dolphins when you give up 100 yards to both of those players. It's just what it is. So you can blame the refs. Terrible call on Devontae Parker. Like, that was a terrible call. They should have called that. There was a bunch of stuff, right? The little things, too. Like, illegal motions, holding calls on us and not on them. Like, it was totally one-sided. They were getting the Dolphins back after getting totally screwed against the Eagles. But overall, man, my truthful take is that our offense just simply doesn't have the talent. Stevenson's a good player. Trent Brown's a good player. Michael Onwenu's a good player. Other than that, I mean, Kendrick Bourne, rest his soul, is a number 2 or number 3, right? He's a serviceable 2. He's a great number 3. Demario Douglas, to me, is a number 3 in the NFL. I like him. I like the kid. I hope he grows. He's going to get plenty of opportunity here for the rest of the season. Play Kayshon Boutte, please. Kayshon Boutte. Play him. Like, Mac Jones, he's a solid quarterback, but he's not going to be able to elevate these players. And the more I watch him with this team, the less I can really figure out whether or not it's like, you know, like, I think I'm lost at this point. Like, I'm really confused is the word. Like, with Mac Jones, I feel like he did a lot of things well in that game. But there's also the back-breaking turnover in the game. And you wonder, is that just Mac Jones? Is that the offense? Is that the margin for error within this offense? And then I think of the teams that are good, right? And so you think of this year, like, just throw this stat out there. Mac Jones has 8 interceptions. So does Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes. And look at how they're doing this year from a record perspective. So those players can overcome it from a playmaking standpoint in their own right, but also because of the scheme or the offensive line or the weapons that they have at their disposal. Just because Mac Jones has thrown 8 interceptions or has thrown an interception in a game. Guys, Tua threw an interception in the Patriots game. It didn't really impact the game because New England has such a small margin for error, and that's what it's all about for me. New England's personnel on offense doesn't give them enough margin for error. On defense, on special teams, turning the ball over, there's no way to overcome it when you don't have a margin for error on offense. And that's my biggest takeaway. That team was more talented. That team probably outcoached us to a certain degree on offense versus our defense. It is what it is. And that's my lesson. With Mac Jones, I feel like this is how I feel, honestly. I'd be cool with going in with Mac Jones next year as our quarterback. I would also be cool with trading Mac Jones. Either way, I'm cool. But if you're going to keep Mac Jones, you have to help him. And honestly, if you're going to keep Bill Belichick, I kind of think if you're going to keep Bill Belichick, you have to move on from Mac Jones because I don't think Bill Belichick's ever going to support Mac Jones with what he needs to be successful as a pocket passer in the modern NFL. He needs receivers. If you want to play defense, play special teams, run the football, get a quarterback that's multidimensional. Get a Jalen Hurts light. Damn, you'd be better off with a Justin Fields if you want to play that style of football. You'd be better off with a broken down Cam Newton. Because at the end of the day, if you don't support receivers with these quarterbacks and to be a pass-heavy team, name a pass-heavy team that's good at passing the ball that has no weapons. They don't exist. So that's just what I think. Gronk, spike the like button, subscribe. That's it for the review. Appreciate you guys tuning in once again. This was a fun one. Thank you so much. Comment your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll see you for the Power Rankings vid. Peace.